So are you thinking about moving to one of Robins? Or are you military relocating to Robins Air Force Base and interested in what Warner Robins is like? Well, in this video, we're going to go over the pros and the cons of living in Warner Robins. So let's get started. Hey guys, I'm Chris, your real estate problem solver. I've been a real estate agent and an investor for over 20 years in the Middle Georgia area around Warner Robins, Bonaire, and Kathleen. So you've come to the right place to find out the good, the bad, and the ugly about Warner Robins. So if you're moving to Warner Robins and you're looking to buy a house in Warner Robins, you're going to need the best real estate agent in Warner Robins to take care of you. The pro is, you already found him. The con is, you're going to have to find an open spot on my calendar link. So click the link below and see if I've got any available slots so we can get together. Now let's get into the pros and cons of Warner Robins. Alright, so let's start off with the pros, the good points about Warner Robins, and then we'll get into the bads and the uglies. So to start off with, the affordability of Warner Robins is probably one of the big attractors to this Middle Georgia area. And the reason that I say that is because just about everywhere around here is going to be a little bit higher in cost than the Warner Robins area. For example, the median price houses that are selling on the market right now in Warner Robins is around $230,000. That means the highest number of houses, not the average, but the highest number of houses that have sold have been priced around $230,000. Now in contrast to, let's say, Savannah. Savannah is up around $360,000, which is significantly higher. And then if you want to brave the rapids and try your hand in Atlanta, Atlanta's sitting in a median price range of about $420,000. So between that and the cost of living, Warner Robins is a much better choice than anywhere else in the surrounding areas. Now building materials is about comparable, and groceries is somewhat better here than the other areas. But what really shines around here, for some reason, is the cost of gas. Now, while we're sitting at around maybe $270, $280, everybody else in the area is sitting around $315, $320. 9 times out of 10, when I go to Tampa or I have to run up to Atlanta, I'm always going to fill up in this area, and then I'm going to get as far away as I can, probably about 50, 60 miles, and fill up one more time before I get outside of the area, because for some reason, no matter which direction I go, whether it's north or south, the prices seem to just start climbing rapidly. So that's another thing to consider when you're living in Warner Robins. Another big attractor about Warner Robins is its community ties. Majority of the businesses in Warner Robins are either family owned, individually owned, or just some kind of a small business where the owner actually lives in the area, as contrasted to, say, Savannah or Atlanta, where you're dealing with a lot of conglomerates, major corporations in industry, where the owner probably doesn't even live in Georgia. So if you're looking for a small town where you can actually walk into the store and the chances of the owner actually running the store is a good possibility, and you can actually shake hands with the owner, well, Warner Robins, as big as it is, still has that same kind of mentality. Most of the owners that run these businesses around here actually work in the businesses themselves too. As for outside the businesses, Warner Robins was built up because of Robins Air Force Base becoming a logistics center back in the 1940s. And since then, Warner Robins has blown up with the culture of the military mentality and, of course, the Bible Belt and the Southern hospitality of being in Georgia. So you've got a lot of people and a lot of churches, a lot of community feels where people don't mind talking to you, they don't mind saying hi. And striking up a conversation with a stranger around here is about like striking up a conversation with Smallville, USA, anywhere in the rest of the United States. So like I mentioned before, Robins Air Force Base is the predominant reason why Warner Robins has grown to the size that it is today. Now, even though Warner Robins has now gotten to the point where it can pretty much sustain itself, Robins Air Force Base is still a major contributor to the community and to the culture of Warner Robins. Now, of course, at the time of this video, the federal government is actually cutting back on the number of jobs and opportunities that are available to the DoD and to Robins Air Force Base. But even though, with that said, there are still private contracts that are steadily being awarded for vendors, for contractors, for suppliers, and logistics for the private companies to do business with Robins Air Force Base. So there's plenty of job opportunities. Then, on top of that, PCS season comes in every year during the time that the kids get out of school and during the holiday season. So since we've got an annual change out of personnel going to and from Robins Air Force Base, there's a steady supply of money being transacted for moving expenses, for buying and selling homes, for job positions opening up. So it kind of keeps Warner Robins commerce alive and kicking. Also, if you're looking to buy a house in the Warner Robins area, in recent years, the real estate market in Warner Robins has blown up significantly, especially with the Warner Robins Air Force Base right here and a lot of military coming in and out. There's a lot of traffic for people, and a lot of the people that are moving into this area are demanding the latest and greatest. So with that being said, a high percentage of the real estate in Warner Robins area are less than 20 years old. So you've got the middle age and the newer houses in this area that have come up in recent years. Now, if your preference is historical houses or something a little bit more vintage, then you might want to look at someplace like Perry or maybe Hawkinsville. But as for the newest and the latest and greatest, Warner Robins has been blowing up with the real estate over the last 10 or 15, 20 years. And so you've got a great selection from houses of brick ranch styles in the 80s to the newest conventional styles that are just getting the paint put on the walls right now. Now, if you're in a business that requires you to do a lot of traveling, then of course Atlanta might be the ultimate choice for you because it's a centrally located city and you can go pretty much any direction fast and easy. But you've got to deal with the traffic up there. Well, Warner Robins doesn't have that. So if you have a job that requires you to do a lot of traveling, Warner Robins is centrally located in Middle Georgia. We have I-75, I-16 right in the general area, which makes it easier for you to make a quick shot down to Florida, a quick shot up to Atlanta and beyond. So it's easy for you to get onto a highway and commute to wherever it is that you need to go fast and easy. And then one last good point about Warner Robins that I like is the fact that Warner Robins has actually grown up to the point where we've just about got everything you could possibly need for amenities, for facilities. We've got, the Home Depot, Walmart, all the major providers of any kind of a vendor that you would possibly need. Now, of course, if you've got special needs like special vocational assistance or certain industrial specialties in your business, if you've got classic cars that need Summit Racing, well, we don't have those kinds of things around here, but they are a short drive up to McDonough, a short drive up to Atlanta, and you can get those items pretty quick. But other than that, for just general day-to-day life, 9 times out of 10, Warner Robins is going to have it. So if you spend any time with me, you know that I'm going to be a straight shooter. So I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's get into the bad side of Warner Robins. To start off with, anybody that comes into Warner Robins, as soon as it starts getting May, June, July, the first thing they're going to start complaining about is the humidity. Warner Robins is a great place to live. There's a lot of sunshine, but it comes with a lot of humidity and a lot of heat. So one thing that you can count on around Warner Robins is the air conditioning companies are going to be full force from around May, June, all the way into September, October, because the heat around Middle Georgia can get kind of stifling. And if you add in the humidity, yeah, I know it's not the heat, it's the humidity, Well, it's true. So if you come into Warner Robins, this isn't going to be like Arizona and New Mexico. They can get up to 105 degrees and you barely feel it. Around here, you get up to 90 degrees and you're already changing out your shirt because you're sweating so much. So just be aware the one bad side of Middle Georgia, one bad side of Warner Robins is the heat and the humidity together can kind of make it a little bit sticky around here. That's why we call it the air you can wear. So if you buy a house in the southwest side of Warner Robins around Bonaire or Kathleen areas, one thing that you're going to complain about is the bottlenecks. The traffic around the Warner Robins is great except during Thanksgiving, except during Christmas, and except during the early morning when everybody is going to Robins Air Force Base all at the same time, 10 minutes before the top of the hour. So If you are going to be moving to Warner Robins and you're going to be working at Robins Air Force Base, just be aware that you're going to have a little bit of a traffic issue going to and from work in the mornings, and then starting around 3 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody's trying to get home. So keep in mind, if you're going to be driving through the Warner Robins area, learn to use the back roads and the side streets, because those are the ones that are going to get you to and from home a lot faster. Warner Robins is a great place to live. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of family oriented events, but Warner Robins doesn't have much of a nightlife anymore. Robins Air Force Base used to have JR Rockers, they used to have the Enlisted Club, and they kind of do to a point, but it's not nearly what it used to be. Warner Robins used to have a lot of bars and strip joints, and now I think we're down to mostly sports bars and pubs like Tap and Pour, like Black Barley. If you want something unusual, you can try Splinter's Axe House. Then we've also got Friends on the Hill, Game On Sports Bar, and a few others. So we've got a few places to hang out, to watch TV and see the games and all that. But as for a lot of dancing and the big entertainment centers, I think Whiskey River was probably the last big one that we had around here, and they've been shut down for quite a while. So if you're looking for the bigger, heavier nightlife, you might want to be best to look into Macon, which has a couple good options. But other than that, Savannah and Atlanta are going to be your best choices. Now, another bad side of Warner Robins is, like I told you, the real estate industry and people coming in and buying houses in Warner Robins has blown up significantly over the last 15, 20 years. The bad side is 3 to 5 major builders, and they're all using similar floor plans, so there's not a lot of variety. The only variety that we've got around here is the difference in the ages of the houses from the 80s to the 90s, 2000s, 2020s. So when the styles changed over time, the houses changed with it. But as for the actual layout and floor plans, they're not really too far off. Now, when you get into the older houses in the 80s and 90s, there are a few neighborhoods around here that did take pride in building the unique and the individual houses, just like they did back in the older days when people took pride in their cars, where you could easily tell a Chevy from a Dodge, from a Ford, from a Pontiac. Well, back in those days when everybody took pride in their stuff and made their own items unique, there are a couple neighborhoods around here that boast the uniqueness of their individual houses. And I've got a video for that right here, so take a look at that when you get a chance. Now, one more point that I'm going to throw at you, and you can be the judge on whether this is a pro or a con, because it's got a little bit of both. Now, if you research the crime in Warner Robins, you'll see that the crime heat map, if you go to nextburb.com, then you'll see that Warner Robins has a kind of a high index on crime than some of the surrounding areas. That's the bad side. The good side is, if you look a little bit closer and do your research, you'll find that the majority of the crimes in the Warner Robins area, number one, are kind of concentrated to specific areas, and number two, they're not violent crimes. These are more like property crimes, vandalism, petty larceny, simple stuff like that. Now, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, make sure to contact me. My information is in the description below, and I'll see you when you get to Warner Robins.